and do it for free. Just like get the page, throw it on a different PDF or
That's a great idea.
dictionary, and have that published. I think just that would be an amazing go-to-market. Hello everyone, welcome to Up for Grabs. This is a podcast where me and Agam, developers turned marketeers, take an idea, explain what it is, say how we'll build it, product and technically wise, and then how we'll get it to market. This is a very special episode. It's an Indie Hacker special. All of you indie hackers out there, I think are going to love this idea. It's going to blow your mind. You're going to be very happy as to the promise and the relevance of this to you guys. So Agam, take it away.
Okay. So basically I had this idea in mind. I'm, as you know, a developer also, and I've been using Airtable for quite a while. Now, the problem is I'll show you, I'll share my screen and show you what it is. But basically Airtable is this kind of platform that gives you kind of like advanced Google Sheets in their own platform, and you can connect to it through APIs and integrations and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. You can create a lot of back office processes on top of Airtable. Now, the thing is, not everyone knows how to use Airtable. Airtable is like its own platform, its own thing. There's a lot of things to think about there. And a lot of companies just use Google Sheets. So I was thinking, maybe we can take the kind of Airtable mentality and just put it on top of Google Sheets, something that a lot of companies and organizations are already familiar with. So this idea is what I call a headless CMS on top of Google Sheets or Google Drive. That's the idea. And basically, instead of creating a new kind of database or a new kind of platform, you're just utilizing Google Sheets and the Google ecosystem and creating APIs on top. So just 10 seconds explaining what a headless CMS is. A headless CMS is basically a new type of thinking where in the old days, I would write a website maybe using a traditional CMS like WordPress, and everything is kind of bundled together. So we have the front end and the back end is kind of in the same monorepo, the same code base. And if I want to do a mobile app now, I need to extract the data somehow from WordPress and move it into a new type of front end in the mobile application. Or if I want to create a new website, I'll maybe have to migrate that data from WordPress to a new website. And so that coupling between the back end and the front end is really annoying. That's why some people started pushing this idea of a headless CMS where you separate the data and the front end. And just to show you a few examples, some of the big headless CMSs are, for example, Contentful. And as you can see here from the picture on the side, you can have like a website, and at the back, you can create all your models and your data, like what type of data you have in the back end, which is detached from this front end. And then you can use code to connect them any way you want. So that's one example. Another big one that you need to know about if you're going into this idea is a company named Strappy, which is this thing. And they just do the same thing. It's basically like Contentful, they're basically a competitor. But the idea is you have their platform, you kind of use their UI, a bit like Airtable, and then you can get this JSON or GraphQL that you can connect to from your code. Nice, neat, cool. What's the big deal? We want to use Google Sheets. So the idea is, let's take Google Sheets, create an API on top of that where users can consume it in their code bases. And that way everyone's happy because you can still use Google Sheets, but you're getting that API powers on top of it. So that's the basic idea. Tom, do you have any questions about it?
Yeah, sure. So I think that the core premise of what you're saying makes sense. It's another way to do a CMS with tools that already exist. I have some technical conundrums and thoughts, but I do see how this can go to market. So tell me how you'll actually build it.
Okay, so technical wise, what you want to do is you want to create your own Google OAuth application, right? What OAuth basically means is that you can create an applications where users authorize your applications to do actions on your behalf. So they can access your Google Sheet or your Google Docs. So basically it's just a login with Google. And that way what you do is you would kind of tell them to choose their Google Sheets that they want to use or the Google Docs that they want to use. And then you'll give them an SDK on top that they can connect. And that SDK will connect to your servers, not directly to the Google Sheet. That's the basic idea of how I would technically do it.
Do you think that there's a way that this can actually be simpler with something like one of the main integration libraries? We talked about this in a previous episode. The main integration libraries that talk to Google Sheet or to Google Docs or whatever. Do you think a lot of the code is already written, or there will still be a lot of work with the Google APIs?
So what I want to do with the Google API is basically, this is one of the big competitors you need to know about. And what they do is they have their like template that you can add to your drive. It's all open source. They have like a GitHub repo that we can also look into. But basically, you add this Google Drive CMS template, and they added a bunch of scripts on top of it where you can export it. I think it's a bit too technical. I think that if you create your own application and you just do login by Google, you're giving a lot, like a very simple flow for the user. Now you would say, okay, but if a programmer is gonna interact with it because it's a headless CMS, what's the problem? They can do that. Yeah, still, I still think you want a more polished experience and you want to have more power. So if you have the access tokens from the OAuth, you can do a lot more with the API. Here, they're doing kind of like hacks. So it feels like patchy. They're adding scripts into a template. And I think that that's not the way I would build a business. And maybe for an MVP, you can do something like this, but for a business, I would not do something like that.
So the core, I think, problem that I see with this is the fact that when it hits when is the pain point reached? So I won't say it, but I have like an idea of when I will meet this as somebody who wants to create a website. But how do you think people will find this product? At what point in their life cycle? In what point of their problem cycle?
So the basic, I think the early adopters of something like this would be people that are looking into a solution like Airtable or like Strapi or like Contentful, but they don't want to get into that ecosystem. They want to have their own ecosystem in what they already know, which is Google Sheets and all the Google ecosystem. So they'd be looking to add something on top of that, but they want like a managed service and they don't want this weird hacky Google Drive sheet thing.
So I'm looking at this more from like a one-off thing. So I'll give a concrete example. I just released a course for the new thing that I'm doing right now that has a Notion page to it, and then I published it to the web using Notion's shell to web feature. Now, this feature has a bunch of problems. That's why there's another website called super.so that kind of takes the hassle of the deal. But basically, I built it up in Notion and how I'm used to, and then I get it published to the web. So what I'm thinking is this is great for doing something like publish this Google Doc to the web or publish this list of Google Sheet pages to the web, this type of thing. And I think I'm trying to figure out what would be the best ICPs, the ideal customer profiles for that. And I'm really thinking that a good pain point is I want to publish a Google Doc to the web without having to share the link actually with people, and then have it stay there statically, uneditable, and with a little bit of formatting. So this is something that I can actually export to somebody else. One idea is quotes for users. Another idea is anything like an external training material, perhaps some report that I want to move over, stuff like that. And then we can also think about authorization on top of it.
Okay, so that seems a bit like another product in it of itself, but basically I think that the moment you connect to their Google ecosystem, which means their Google Drive or their Google Sheets or Docs, you can do all these things. So that could be another, even like a marketing funnel for them to use that. But basically, the ICP is someone who already really likes the Google ecosystem, but they want more from that. They don't have a direct access API. They don't want to create all those application integrations and start doing API keys and all that. They want very basic read, write, CRUD operations on top of their data. Maybe they want to export it as a form that can inject the data into the sheet automatically. Just look into the Strapi, the Contentful, the Airtable websites and see what features they have and just put it on top of Google Sheets. And I think you can also reduce the prices because you don't need to deal with all that data storage and handling that Google already does for you. You're just connecting. You're just an SDK. You're just giving some fluff on top. So that's the basic idea. Pricing wise, I'm not sure what I would price it at the beginning. I would probably look into those three big competitors I told you about and I would try to lower the price. So I usually don't like pricing games, but I think you could just reduce the price, and someone that's already looking into a solution would say, oh, it's cheaper than all of them, and I'm getting Google Sheets and the Google ecosystem. So I think that could also play into the marketing of it. If you have any questions about that, or we're going to do
the core go-to-market thing that I will do, and I'd love to go to go-to-market, if you don't mind. I'm just going to hop into it and let you know. I got 2 ideas. One of them is I'm going to go back to the Shell to Notion website thing that I just mentioned. So it just makes a lot of sense. Find times where people are trying to publish something to the web outside of Google Docs. A great example is when they're doing Zapier or Integromat or Make or NA10 or one of those like low-code integration platforms. If somebody's looking for a step to publish into the web, this would be an excellent thing to add to it. If somebody is looking to publish a Google Doc into the web as one of those workflows, somebody's asking, can I publish this? How can I connect this to WordPress? How can I connect Google Doc to WordPress? Stuff like that. All of those connections between Google Doc and Google Drive and all of those other stuff, that would be an excellent way to talk to people about that. Basically find where they're trying to automate it already. So that's one thing. The other thing is get listed in all of the website comparison platforms. So basically figure out a way, actually maybe even pay a little bit of money to add yourself to the list of like new website platforms. You will stand out. Everybody else is like a normal CRM and you're a CMS, and you're saying, oh, wait, I'm doing everything from Google Drive. I think that maybe on top of the actual like queries that people will search for, how to connect Google Doc to WordPress, how to connect Google Doc to Strapi, how to connect Google Doc to whatever, there's also a PPC game. So a PPC basically buying a game for buying paid ads on those queries and then being the outsider, being the competitor that's different.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah. So any go-to-market ideas from you, Agam?
I would do just the basic stuff. So I would create a blog where I would compare myself to all the other headless CMSs or even normal CMSs, and I would definitely do the PPC route. So I would search and pay highly for people that are looking for a CMS, and maybe they're adding some Google Sheet keyword or something like that. I think that is totally worth it. And also what you could potentially do is you could try to search on the web for companies and people that might buy your product that are already using the Google ecosystem. And then maybe you can create something on top of what they already built. So if someone already published a Google Sheet, they're like selling a Google Sheet, or they have like this special Google Sheet they're publishing, maybe you can contact them and add something on top of that just so they recognize you. And they say, oh, now this Google Sheet is also a static website, and it automatically gets updates for my main Google Sheet. So I'll just link to that and give it for them for free and just get the word out there that that's what you do. You're the person, you're the business that handles all the Google ecosystem, and you're allowed to publish that and create a headless CMS from that. That's what you want to ingrain in people's minds. Okay, I think we can, if you don't have anything else to add, I think we're pretty good.
One last thing. Speaking of that publish to the web thing, I'm thinking about the file menu inside of Google Doc. That's that like I would imagine that if I want to publish something to the web, I would want, so just the Google Doc format is maybe a little bit non-polished. It's lacking styles. So if I could add, for example, publish with styles, like an add-on called publish with style to the Google Docs marketplace, that's like something I would download and do it for free. Just like get the page, throw it on a different like PDF or like HTML, and have that published. I think just that would be an amazing go-to-market scheme for you.
Yeah. Okay. That's a wrap.